Hi everyone, it's Valerie Gordon from Commander in She. Today we held a half-hour webinar on how to stay after your goals and keep productive even in uncertain times. Now, a number of people I know weren't able to attend live, so we're going to share the program with you here in sort of a short recap version. So when you think about the goals that you have, we start with identifying what it is you actually want. And in times of great change and uncertainty, it can be hard to think about that because our priorities do change. But if you put yourself back on the list, what is it that you want? And then get clear on why it matters to you. Why is it important to you? Why did you want to do it in the first place? Why is it not something you're moving forward on? Because we can't take steps on how to get it until we first identify what it is we want and why it matters to us. It reminds me of this great quote from author Elizabeth Gilbert. I've never seen any life transformation that didn't begin with the person in question finally getting sick of their own bullshit. Now, what do I mean by BS? I mean all of the excuses that we come up with for reasons why we give up on ourselves. And we give up on those goals and we stop ourselves from moving forward. And in my workshops, I run one on creating goals and how to get them. And we run an exercise that's a lot of fun in group format called Big Excuse Bingo, where we actually have bingo cards and we come up with 50 of the biggest excuses that people use that get in the way of their goals. I've grabbed 20 of them to share with you today. As I scroll through them, think about whether these are things that you say or do that stop your goals in their tracks, because we need to eradicate those excuses in order to be able to move forward. Okay, here's number one: not enough time, not enough hours in the day to do everything we want to do. And I've heard this one a lot. And now I've also heard recently, given everything that's going on in this current climate, that it's just not the right time. It's not the right time right now. So now you have the time. Perhaps you're no longer commuting to an office, the gym is closed, you're stuck at home. You have time and the opportunity to do things, but now you feel it's not the right time. Well, what is the right time? I would say that the time to start is now. You don't have to figure out the entire plan to get started. Take advantage of the time you have now in order to be able to get started on those goals. How about this one? Too much to do. Hear this one a lot from people. Too much to do, too many things on my to-do list, no time to do it. Don't know where to start. Many people are so worried about figuring out every step of the plan, they won't even take that first step. And that's a tip we'll be talking about later once we get through these excuses. Not sure what I want. When I work with clients one-on-one, we always start here because there's two types of people. There's the person who isn't sure what they want because they've never given much thought to it, or they've been living their life according to someone else's wishes. And then there's the person who knows what they want, but they don't think they're going to get it. So what's the point in even trying? So we start with understanding what it is we want, why it matters to us, and how we're going to get it. Family obligations can certainly get in the way of every goal, and it might be something you're dealing with right now, whether you've got kids out of school and at home, or you're responsible for elder care or pet care. You are a member of your family. How are you being obligated to yourself as well as to others? Fear. Fear is an excuse that holds us back. What are we afraid of? Oftentimes, fear stems from self-doubt. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, somebody else is doing it better. And once that narrator starts thinking about that story, that narrator in your head, and runs with it, you don't even bother trying because you're so filled with that self-doubt. Maybe you think you're too old or you're too young, your time has passed, or you're just not ready yet. This is an excuse just like anything else. Really what it comes down to is you might just lack the self-discipline to get started. Admit that to yourself, that it might not be a lack of education, lack of money, lack of support, lack of resources, than it is so much a lack of self-discipline. If you can name it, name your excuse to start, that's the first opportunity to get rid of it. Many people tell me, well, I just feel stuck. I feel stuck. I don't know what to do next. I'm going to give you some tips for that, but I like this image a lot. Just because you feel stuck or you're stuck in the gum on the sidewalk doesn't mean you can't take a step forward. Maybe you're holding yourself back because you're worried what someone else might think. If I do this, people might laugh at me. If I do this and fail, people, will think less of me. Or maybe you're just waiting for permission from someone else to go ahead and start doing what matters most to you. Maybe it's time to give yourself the permission that you need. Many people have goals, but they have just too many of them and they can't prioritize. What's the plan? Where do we start? What is most important to you right now? And a lot of people use what I call the 3 biggest goal-killing words: as soon as. As soon as I get through my to-do list, I'll take care of this. As soon as I lose 10 pounds, I'll start exercising. Or right now, as soon as all this craziness calms down, then I'll get started on what matters most to me. Well, I don't know when as soon as is. It's not a time frame that we can easily define. Don't let these 3 words get in the way of starting what you want most. Distractions are huge right now. The same technology that allows us to absorb so much material online also clutters our brain. Turn off as many distractions as you can. And whether that's Netflix or Twitter, wherever your time and attention is going, make sure that you're giving time and attention to what matters most to you. Prior failures. A lot of people use this as an excuse. Well, I tried this once and it didn't work. But think about this poor lady with her ice cream cone. Everyone at some point has dropped an ice cream cone. Doesn't mean you've never eaten ice cream again. Don't use a past failure to plan your future story. Finally, I see this a lot from people when they just settle for fine. It's not so bad, so it's not exactly what I want, but it's all kind of fine. Why would you want to settle for fine when you can do so much more? So those are 20 top excuses. What do we do with that? How do we move forward? So I'll go back to that question of what is your goal? Identify what you want, get clear on why it matters to you, and take steps to how you will get it. What kind of steps? Well, think about today. What is the thing you can do to best serve yourself? And rather than worrying that there's one right thing to do, you just get started. We can learn a lot from Sir Isaac Newton, laws of motion. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So all you need to do is stay curious about what would happen if you took the first next step. It doesn't even matter what it is. There's no right or wrong first step, and there might not even be a final step. You don't have to have every part of the plan figured out to get started. What is the first next step? How do you identify what that is? Well, you want to make sure that the next step you take advances your goals in some way, that it aligns with your definition of success. What does this look like? What is the optimal outcome if it all comes together? And finally, it allows you to actively author this story. Stop waiting for permission for someone else to tell you what happens next. This is your story. You get to decide. You create the plot points necessary. Because as one of my favorite authors, Maya Angelou, says, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. It's your story. What happens next? Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So give some thought to that narrator in your head, whether it's feeding you excuses or it's feeding you opportunity. I'll be back online all next week with career and communication related tips. Thanks so much for being here. Feel free to go to my website, commanderinShe.com, or reach out by email at info@commanderinshe.com with topics that you most need right now. Thanks so much. Have a great day.